Hi, welcome back to Introduction to Algebra 1, Fractions within Algebraic Equations. First, let's review some definitions. A variable is a letter that represents an unknown value in an equation. Examples could be x, y, or any letter. A coefficient is a numerical value placed before a variable which signifies multiplying the number before the variable and the variable's value. In algebra, we use what is given from an equation to find the variable of the variable within the equation. Now, here's a new part. Whenever a fraction is in front of a variable, we divide both sides of the equation by the fraction to solve for the variable. When we must divide a fraction, we do this very simple action. Flip what you're dividing by, and then it's easy to multiply. Cool. Now let's start with a simple one-step algebraic equation that contains a fraction. All right, let's look at number 1. So, number 1, we have x plus 3/4 is equal to 2. So the first thing we notice is that x is our variable. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to get our same type of numbers to the same side. So, x plus 3/4 is equal to 2. Since we're adding 3/4, we're going to subtract 3/4 from the left and the right to get x by itself. Now, we have x is equal to 2 minus 3/4. Now remember, whenever we subtract a number with a fraction, we need to find a common denominator. So, for 2 is equal to 2 over 1. Now, the closest common denominator that we can come up with is 4. So that means we multiply both sides by 4, and that gives us 8 over 4, which is equal to 2, minus 3/4, and we get x is equal to 5 over 4. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So now we have y minus 1/2 is equal to 1. So the first thing to recognize is that y is our variable. Now we want to get y by itself, and we want to move the minus 1/2, which is negative 1/2, to the right side of the equation with the 1. So since it's minus 1/2, we do the opposite, and we add 1/2 to both sides. So now we have y is equal to 1 plus 1/2. Now what we can do here is we can create a common denominator for both numbers. So that would be 2 over 2 plus 1 over 2. And that gives us y is equal to 3 over 2. Awesome. Now let's try a two-step equation which involves a fraction coefficient. This is where we are going to be using, when we must divide a fraction, do this very simple action, flip what you're dividing by, then it's easy to multiply. We are now going to put that to use. So, in the first question, we got 3/4 x plus 10 is equal to 15. We note that x is our variable. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get 10 to the right side, so x is by itself. Subtract both sides by 10. And then we get 3/4 x is equal to 5. Now, since we're multiplying 3/4 times x, the way we remove 3/4 from the left is dividing both sides by 3 over 4. However, when we must divide a fraction, we flip it and then we multiply. So it really is x is equal to 5 over 1 times 4 over 3, which gives us x is equal to 20 over 3. And for these, we can keep it so it's not a simplified fraction. We can also make it a mixed number, but keeping it as unsimplified here to find x is perfectly fine. Okay, let's move to our next question. Now we have y is our variable. So we have 4/5 y minus 5 is equal to 15. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get y by itself, move 5 to the other side. Plus 5, 4 fifths y is equal to 20. Now we divide both sides by 4 over 5. And now we have y is equal to 20 over 1. And now what we flip what we're dividing by, since it's a fraction, so it's instead 20 times 5 over 4. And that gives us an answer of 100 over 4 is equal to y. Cool. Now I encourage you to pause the video and try some of these problems yourself, and then we will go over them. Alright, now let's go over these problems, and hopefully you had success while doing them. So, our first question, we have x minus 4 fifths is equal to 2. So the first thing that we notice is that x is our variable, and we want to get negative 4 fifths or minus 4 fifths to the same side as 2, so x is alone. So, plus 4 fifths plus 4 fifths. X is equal to 2 plus 4 fifths. Now, the first thing we need to do is find a common denominator for these two numbers. So, the closest number that both 2 and 5 can go into is 10. So, we need to multiply 2 over 1 times 10 on both sides, and multiply 4 over 5 by 2 on the numerator and denominator, so we get a common denominator. So that gives us 20 over 10 plus 8 over 10, which gives us x is equal to 28 over 10. Alright, let's move on to the next question. So here we have 1/2 y minus 5 is equal to 20. So, since we're subtracting 5, we're going to add 5 to both sides. 1/2 y is equal to 25. Now, we're multiplying 1/2 and y, so that means we do the opposite, and we divide both sides by 1/2. Divided by 1/2. Y is equal to 25. Now, whenever we divide a fraction, we flip it. So, instead of dividing by 1/2, we're really multiplying by 2 over 1, which gives us y is equal to 50. Alright, and our last question. We got 3 over 2 times x minus 4 is equal to 6. So, get x by itself by adding 4 to both sides. 3 over 2x is equal to 10. Now, we have 3 over 2 times x. Divide both sides by 3 over 2. Now we have x is equal to 10 over 1. We flip 3 over 2 and multiply, times 2 over 3. And that simply gives us x is equal to 20 over 3. Alright, hopefully you understand how to solve an algebraic equation with a fraction, and I hope everyone has a great day.